back to the First Strike North America Closed Qualifiers presented to you by Nerd Street Gamers. We have already shown you guys 1 out of the 3 juicy best of 3s we have today as Sentinels took down Dignitas. But now it's time for some Group D action, and as you can see, I am joined once again for the second best of 3 with your casters, iHoldShift and Avril. Guys, I know when the group was announced for this closed qualifiers, everybody was looking at Group D and saying, this is easy for TSM. You know, this is just TSM are going to breeze and everyone else is going to have to scrap for second. Right, Shift, do you agree with that sentiment? And do you think this is in fact going to be a race for second place in this group?
Yes. That's all I got.
Good.
Just easy. But here's the good news, and it really is truly good news. The only dark shadow lingering over this group is TSM. I don't think any of these 3 teams can compete with TSM. But all these teams are looking to bounce back and prove themselves against each other in a way. BBG was a squad that once they were picked up, yeah, they'd played in a couple of main events, but they were getting worked by some of the big teams around them. Renegades over the last couple of weeks, months, they've been getting better, and they were doing very well in the Tier 2 scene, but then they run their own invitational, and they don't even make it past their first 2 matches. And then Slimy Boogermen, which is the most hysterical name you could possibly paint a picture on, but is literally 5 guys that have very limited experience with one another. They're kind of pieces from other teams in the past and have been finding a little bit of favor. Getting to this qualifier was a surprise, I think, for them and for the people that are watching. So the fact of the matter is each of those 3 teams need a bounce back group stage, and they have it in front of them. So there are no excuses. You've got to come away number 2 here if you want to try to throw some extra reputation your way.
Yeah, in my mind, Groups A and B are the groups of death here, and Group D ends up being the group of life. And the reason it is the group of life is not just because it's a group of life for TSM specifically for them to get out of groups. That's at least one thing that TSM can do in this game. That's a League of Legends reference, never mind. Is that we're looking towards the other 3 teams also having group of life opportunity where second place ends up being pretty clear in terms of, you know, everyone can race for the second. I believe with the rest of the 3 teams, they have a very, very even shot at getting that second place. So that, to me, is why it's kind of group of life, in my opinion.
Well, of course, the game we will be showing on this stream right now is the Slimy Boogermen versus Renegades. I'm actually very excited for this. I must confess, I'm not a Boogermen connoisseur in that I've only watched
Probably
them,
a good thing.
Yeah, over the open qualifiers. And, you know, they took down Cloud9 White, not easy. They took down Build by Gamers, not easy. They took a map off of Cloud9 Blue. Again, not an easy thing to do. And as you guys can see right now on your screens, we've also have our map picks. Guys, I know, Avril, you've never actually casted a Slimy Boogerman game, but looking at the map picks now, what are your early impressions of what we could be expecting?
So, Ascent Map 1, I like that you brought up Cloud9 Blue, by the way, so it's an interesting revenge story there. They beat Cloud9 White, but they get piped by Cloud9 Blue, and in that particular matchup versus Blue, Ascent went 13-1 in Cloud9's favor, so Slimy Boogerman definitely did not have much to show on that Ascent at all. Now, that's not to say it's going to be a bad map for them, because Cloud9 Blue are just at the top of the table right now. They are one of the clear favorites for, I mean, First Strike in general, but also this qualifier. So, yeah, the fact that they did take a map in there is going to be really interesting. That map ended up being Haven, and I believe Haven map 3. So if there's going to be one good map for Slimy Boogerman, I think if we get to map number 3, that's one that they might feel pretty good about. So that would require this to go to a map 3, though, so we'll see if we end up going that far.
Yeah, Shift, anything to add there?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a pretty good litmus test as far as these teams are concerned. And I think if you're somebody who is out there that's really invested into the competitive scene of North American Valorant, you're going to learn a lot. I know that we absolutely will when it comes down to this matchup, not only because this is essentially a first true look at the Slimy Boogermen, but on the other side for Renegades, again, like we mentioned, they're looking for a bounce back. They had a pretty solid run through the open qualifier, with the only exception being that matchup versus TSM, which, to be fair, they were still able to take a map and keep Haven close. So they could be on the bounce back as well.
As I said, this will be Avril's first cast of the Slimy Boogermen, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Take it away, guys.
I don't know if Avril's looking forward to it. I see that cheeky smirk down there from my friend
I'm gonna be
out
honest,
of New Zealand.
If they lose, it might be my last cast of them as well. It depends on how they do here. So,
Fair enough.
First
fair
and
enough.
last, maybe. I'm not counting. No, I was very serious about saying that I think all 3 teams outside of TSM have a fair shot at getting second place here, which is required to move on to the playoffs. And, you know, I think the good news for Slimy BOOGERMEN is maybe they have less pressure on their backs. Built by gamers, or Renegades have a lot more baggage, especially Renegades, in terms of pressure to try and win here. This is a very good group for both of those teams to try and get through, whereas Slimy BOOGERMEN, I think, might be able to fly under the radar as they have done so far in this tournament.
We'll see how things unfold here as we take a look at our agent compositions. And, well, expectations, we're probably going to lean towards this, as this has been the historical set path that both of these teams have taken through their open qualifier on Ascent. The really only difference here being the fact that you're getting a Reyna and a Cypher for Renegades, and the opposite side, you're going to be getting a Killjoy and a Breach. And Winsome already trying to make his way through will be denied pathway into the back alley by the Nanoswarm. Onto the site they go. Sentry turret is going to have to be there. Instinct is holding on to the potential pinch, but it really just comes down to if Welshie can find anything. He's not able to. Tailwind and updraft coming out. Some damage, but no kills. And Renegades will get a pretty quick spike plant through. But Deb just spamming through the Cloudburst will actually find one kill, but unfortunately, it's CP2 who will find all three sitting towards B main.
And Renegades just speed up really nicely there, making sure that BOOGERMEN can't quite keep up, and a nice 1-0, keeping most players alive. Only Retro goes down there, and it ends up being a smooth run through to start things out with on the pistol. BOOGERMEN, by the way, when we get towards the other maps, it is going to be a best of 3, so when we start getting to other maps, you're going to start seeing this team really change things around in terms of agent compositions, who's playing what I believe 2 different people on this team actually play the Killjoy, so it's not quite standard in terms of what other teams do. Renegades are going to be playing a lot more standard in terms of their agent compositions and who's going to be playing what. Retro's going to be one to look out for a little bit later on the Jet.
Well, for Renegades, when we've seen them in the past, they do love to clear out space mid-map. And it's led to success, but it's also led to some stumbles when it comes to their executes. But when we've seen them at least play through the open qualifier, their attacking sides were actually pretty darn good on Ascent. 61% conversion rate on their attacks to the open qualifying tournament. Winsome, going to see information that they're going to be having Anderson playing right over towards Garden. CP2 wants to challenge this, and he will find the headshot for first blood.
They can't respond just yet. They have a lot of players over towards A. Welshie finally gets one, but it's responded to very quickly. Still a couple of kills for the Slimy BOOGERMEN for now, but they can't get onto site. They can't pick up any guns. Will end up being similar members still alive here. Devin Instinct cleaned up by Winsome, and Winsome off the back of that should be fairly close to thinking about ulting. Just a 2 actually, so maybe not on the kill feed as much as I thought he was. Speaking of on the kill feed though, CB2, 5 kills, 1 death, has a plant in there as well, and that's going to confirm the Hunter's Fury.
And this could be a really valuable Hunter's Fury. Again, you're going to be going into a deficit on the weapon arsenal coming in around number 3 as you would anticipate, but the fact of the matter is, you've only got 3 players that are on light armor. So the potential of confirming significant damage is pretty darn high here for Renegades, whether that's used for an execute or for a retake. This comes down to what they find initially. But so far, everything has essentially been successful for them mid-map. Not a lot of contests thus far. And they've also found success executing onto both sites so far. Winsome will be the first one through. Aldrin will be here. Glass will break behind Instinct. I believe that was Anderson who opened it up. And Instinct is actually going to let this be an execute. This is dangerous. All of these SMGs and light ARs for Renegades are going to be in much more dangerous areas now that they're up close and personal. And as the spike gets planted, you can back away and just hold off for the Hunter's Fury on the hold.
Well, this is the perfect situation for Renegades. Slimy BOOGERMEN have just entirely enabled this hit to come through, unimpeded. Slimy BOOGERMEN found no information over towards mid or towards B. The 3 members they had towards A didn't really do anything about this take either. So full 5v5, a little bit of damage to Burgers. I'll say a little bit. He's on 30 HP, but it's going to be Hunter's Fury. That's the most important thing here, as is this duel. Retro gets one. Does get responded to. Winsome trades as well. Now the Hunter's Fury is going to come through.
And Winsome finding another 2, make it 3 kills. CP2 will clean things up with the Hunter's Fury. So, yeah, the Hunter's Fury will find the 1 kill, but behind this, the fact that Winsome finds 3 is now, he's on an Empress. This has been a near flawless start for Renegades. I mean, executes have been good. Post-plant setups off of what ultimates you have been good. Granted, we're only looking at 3 total rounds, but you've only given up 5 deaths? Yeah, you're feeling really comfortable right now if you're Renegades going into a full AR round with the potential Empress if you want it.
And this is the thing about dying as well. People forget that dying gives you an ult point, so sometimes it does actually make sense to die, especially in rounds where, okay, you're not dropping a very important weapon anyway. Winsome dying there gets the 5 and 1 on the KD, enabling the Empress, like you mentioned. And for Renegades, flawless in terms of at least a round score, 3-0. They've had 4 deaths across their 5 members. Now the Slimy Boogermen onto an eco. This is not the ideal start for them. Going to try and at least stack up somewhere. Headshot confirmed by Dev though, so that's going to be the Empress gone.
That's actually a massive pick for Slimy Boogerman, which I'm going to have to try to hold myself back from smiling every time I say that on broadcast. But no promises that I could do that thing. So now for B main, you've got 2 players defensively that are taking away some space. Randy's going to see some information off the spy cam that will shrug those defensive members backwards. And as the sentry turret will be dealt with, that's going to be a pretty big hindrance as far as overall defensive utility here for Slimy Boogerman at B.
I don't think the gun got picked up just yet either, so Renegade's going to give that one away, just dashing straight over towards Boathouse right now. They're losing more members. It's just slowly going the way of Slimy Boogermen so far, but they need to get to at least a couple of gun upgrades. Maybe stop the plant as well. Trying to spam through the Marshall shots, won't connect anymore. This will be the plant to follow.
There's going to be a weapon, though, inside this boathouse for free that Slimy Boogerman can take for the effort for this 4v3, in which you still have Randy, who's down to a bullet, essentially. This is very, very doable. Just comes down to, can you get the utility? Oh my goodness, the shock dart actually connected onto our breach player for a significant amount of damage. That's Intox that gets taken down low. Spy cam again coming through. Dev able to stay alive through. Here comes the commitment. It's going to be Instinct for the first. Classic is good for it as he dashes on through. No information on the second. Anderson's going to find that pick. One more player left is CP2, and that's a brilliant round for Slimy Boogerman. You thought Renegades was going to be able to walk in for free, but the opening pick off of the Marshall is incredible. And then the numbers and the weapons that are picked up will secure a thrifty round for Slimy Boogerman.
Yeah, plenty of kills coming in. So Slimy Boogerman actually end up holding on nice and tight over here. They get a lot of rifles being upgraded. And Renegades, it's a tough round to lose. They win when they're supposed to, but unfortunately this round they just lose when some super early. Retro joins the fray as well in terms of dying over towards the boathouse, and the numbers just never quite favor the Renegades, even though they have the better equipment value. They get the plant, but not much more after that. They can't do anything in the post plant. You have, Randy being blinded out by the paranoia, and the rest to follow in the backside.
Instinct, early operator, has to back away. Dark cover and recon bolt would have scouted his position out and maybe trying to conceal the fact that the operator is even on the table overall. He'll take it back over towards A garden. Owl drone will be used to try to scout out the cubby and then over through tree. Will he get any information? Yeah, a touch. There's the breach player on top of the A site, but Anderson on the Omen is also pushed through A long, and as good as this is positionally for Slimy Boogerman, the one problem is no one is scouting the middle of the map, and Renegades are going to push through it.
You do have Slimy Boogerman scouting over towards A main. Don't know how much that's going to help them, though. They have to get their way over to B ASAP. Slimy Boogerman trying to hold over towards the back. Win some confirms the Empress as well, and here we go.
A lot of damage off this shock dart in. It's Welshi for 2. Winsome, though, able to get himself in this off the dismiss. One more kill in the arches. He finds it. Bird locks down a kill back over towards spawn. Keep your eye on the jet. As Retro will find Instinct from behind, and the long flank from Anderson that went all the way through the attacking spawn. Might be able to get here. He finds the first. Possible off the exit from the plant, but Bergie's able to match him. And Renegades will now put themselves up 4-1.
Winsome rescues that one for sure. Combo with the fact that Retro got the kill and towards the bag. Doesn't even want the operator, so won't be opping on the offense just yet. Renegades pull through. That was going to be a very contentious round. You saw the early kills coming through from the backside defenders of the Slimy Boogermen. But still, Renegades pull on in 3-2 in terms of the numbers and 4-1 in terms of the actual score line here as well. The spy is going to be fairly broken for the Boogermen. You look at the guns coming in, it's going to be Anderson on a rifle, it's going to be Intox on a rifle as well, but the rest of them not looking that comfortable.
And Slimy Boogermen, just based off their history, need to start bringing this defensive half back. And the reason why I say that is they have a 33% attack win rate on this map. Not all that great. So you've got to get things going here, and you got to get things going quickly. A lot of tools available for potentially this round. Alarm bot will find some information. Renegades are in full force, diving straight on over to A. Recon bolt will free them up. Welshi with some spam shots, not going to find any kills as the door is shut in his face. And for the Slimy Boogerman, they will start to rotate. Watch the long flank. Anderson's trying to make a play from behind, but CP2 is able to find him. Lockdown will come through, but more kills are coming out. This is just not great timing for Slimy Boogerman on the retake. That's good kills for Renegades. They will have to leave the space of the lockdown, but they're going to have numbers to try to work their way immediately back in to come back and defend this spike.
Paranoia's in as well. This is the opportunity now. Renegades want to go in here, exit blind onto Retro to make sure he can't throw out the knives just yet. A lot of flashes coming in towards A main. Retro needs to try to find a connection. 2 knives available. Can't connect either one of them. Welshi for 4. Welshi for the ace, and that's going to be 5 for the Slimy Boogermen to make sure they get their second round in. Ace confirmed. Brilliant plays by the Slimy Boogermen.
Well, she just goes massive. There's really not enough synonyms in my vocabulary to talk about what well she just did. I thought for sure that Intox was going to have to maybe commit to the Rolling Thunder just to make sure that the retake wasn't coming through, but well, she finds the first 2 kills through the A archway. A brilliant aftershock gets placed. He can clean up the final, and an ace gets confirmed. And now all of a sudden, well, she's 9-5, and Slimy Boogermen off the back end of just a lockdown are right back in this half.
Well, I think you have to credit Intox as well. I mean, you mentioned his name there, but the breach flashes indeed make that one worth it. You look at the POV of Retro there. He had the blaze sword, but he couldn't see anything. He was just eating flashes over and over and over. Double updraft to see if you can find somebody over the top of A. Can't find anyone at all. Can't see anything. And for Renegades, they drop around. They're still a lead by 2 currently. More mid-map pressure. Alarm bot will have to be dealt with. Once that's gone, Slimy Boogermen want to make some rotations happen. They already have 3 over towards B.
And this is what Renegades love to do. They love to take the middle of the map. And so far, there has not been a response for it yet for Slimy Boogermen. But how about this? 3 members are going to stack backside arches. The problem is, are they able to get out of this? Rolling Thunder is going to come to the sideway. Bergie snaps onto one. Intox for the trade. 4v3 favoring Renegades as the numbers become more advantage of our attacking squad. Intox flashpoints. Can you clear space? Long range shot's not going to be there. Now down low. Winston able to find the gunfight. And Renegades will be able to take care of the cheeky strategy defensively for Boogermen to go up 5-2.
And maybe a little surprising here that the Slimy Boogermen are playing so safe. I mean, 2 players at backside really do need to do that. Maybe you want to play Intox a little bit further up. The Rolling Thunder will be able to catch people around the boathouse. And I say maybe, I guess, the start of the B side, the B lobby area, that B opening outside of market, that would have been more ideal. But because they're both backside there, he only covers half of the site with the Rolling Thunder. You see that Renegades pop in, Bergie's unaffected. Bergie, it's a free kill as well. He does get traded, but I think the damage is done there. So Renegades get to take that site, get to enable a situation where, I mean, it's Intox by himself, the Rolling Thunder's already gone, and one breach can only do so much.
Yeah, for real. We'll see if he can get things going here, though, as that's a very costly ultimate down. Well, she now with an operator. Nanostorm at his feet, has to essentially spend that to stay safe, but RNG are already on the site. They've got 2 members holding back defensively to watch the flank, but there is no flank this time through. Slimy Boogermen on the rotation all the way back through B, have a Hunter's Fury, but they need to stack up. And as the door gets deleted, Winsome will do the same to Anderson, and this is a very ambitious and pretty desperate Hunter's Fury for Dev. He does connect 1 shot, but this retake is still looking pretty hard-pressed to actually get on site.
Absolutely. Slimy Boogermen are going to try and go in now while she connects up the Retro. That's a decent beginning. Needs to find the skill as well to Randy. He's going to waste a lot of time here. 8 HP. There's a lockdown available to you. Use it here, though. Time is slowly ticking away.
1 enemy remaining.
Instinct not going to be expecting Savage from the side. The flank will come through for 2. That's the operator on the ground. Do you want it? Do you not? Nope, not going to want it here offensively for Renegades, so they'll just let it expire in the previous round. 6-2 up. And now with the cash for the Slimy Boogermen, they'll have to go back to another light buy and don't hold him out from it, because Dev has showcased that he can hit the head with the Marshall, and the Sheriff gameplay wasn't bad either. So an eco round you feel like is going to need to be at least in some fashion punishing for Boogermen coming up this next round.
I mean, it's going to have to be. The problem is, how many ecos can you reliably win? The only 2 rounds the Slimy Boogermen have won so far is the back off of 1 eco with the Marshals. While Dev, you have to credit for getting the opening kill to win some. The second win they got there, in terms of round wins, is the ace coming through from Wellsheet. If that doesn't happen, I don't know, man. It's not been good for the Slimy Boogermen outside of those 2 rounds. And those 2 rounds are very peculiar. You see Dev, the Sun doesn't connect the shots required, gets a body shot into Winsome, but if Winsome gets a kill, that gets healed back up.
Again, mid-map pressure for Renegades, but this time, how about the play from Anderson? He's going to sit in the dark cover. Then we're going to check this. No, not going to happen. Anderson for 1, but I don't think he gets the weapon. As you see it kind of darted over towards the backside of the staircase, so it will still be the ghost. Retro on the way in, trying to come through, deals with the alarm bot in a different position. Now it's going to be on to see what Wellshe can find. He's been good from this position before, but the dark cover will make sure he cannot be good again.
You should run.
And now in the post plant, I mean, this is where things get really interesting. You do commit the lockdown, but it's going to be minimal equipment here. Can you really do enough? Lockdown's destroyed as well via CP2 on the Hunter's Fury. Div will finally find his mark on the Marshall. 4 versus 3, 4 versus 2. And now this is where the Slimy Boogerman can really make things work. Intox on the big flank as well. 2 players over towards A main. The timing could be very critical. Bergie has to stay alive, but Anderson cleans him up via the Vandal he takes off of Winsome's body. So again, this win coming through from the Eco starts when they get Winsome down early.
Yep.
Starts when they can win the 5v4, get that one gun over and start converting kills. And it's been Winsome twice. I don't want to really try and push him into the dirt right now, but I mean, he gave the gun over.
It's just another thing as well. There's something to be said about the fact that now twice for Renegades, on their post-plant setup on eco rounds, they've just defaulted to sitting backside A arches. It just hasn't really given them the opportunity to find kills as easily. Because let's be honest, you've got ARs versus pistols and a Marshall. You should be the one aggressing and taking aggressive angles. And they're just not. They're allowing Slimy Boogerman to get on. They're able to kind of play the diffuse game and just kind of toggle the spike here and there, which forces panic for Renegades. And that's the last place you want to be, is panic when you've got a weapon advantage. So now 6-3, and Slimy Boogerman have won 2 rounds that really shouldn't have been won. So there's an opportunity here for Boogerman to try to tie this one up 6-6 if they can find some more convincing gun rounds.
I'm going to be honest here, Shift. I think it goes 50-50 there. I think going 2 towards A main is not necessarily bad. You get to play the range advantage there. The issue is, Intox on the flank was the pressing issue for Renegades to deal with because they didn't deal with the breach and he got a kill as well. That made things a lot more difficult. They spammed through the smoke with rifles. They could still win that one. It's just a one rifle in Anderson's hands they have to deal with, but now Welshie, rifle in hand over towards A main, unspotted. Should be able to get 1 kill, but instantly threatened. I think Welshie should have gotten 2 kills there, but half point making that happen. Anderson, hero of the last round, isn't going to find his mark yet.
Anderson couldn't convert a kill either. Now he's down to 50 HP. Aftershock will clear out Hell, but they can't take advantage of the position. Now the Paranoia being held over towards the backside of the spike. Neural Theft will be called in. Renegades with extra information. And that will be good for the spam. Retro for 1. 4v3 situation, and Renegades is holding tight on the site this time, looking much more favorable.
Here.
And it looks like with this play not looking good for Slimy Boogerman, they will back up and just try to save these last 3 weapons.
And the problem here now is that Renegades have definitely confirmed the 7, Boogerman only on 3. If we're looking to 5 and 7, it has to be perfect rounds coming through, and this has been anything but perfect. I have to go back to the fact that the only 3 rounds that the Slimy Boogerman have won off the back of 2 ecos and off the back of a single ace coming through from Welshie to make things really interesting. So it's not been, you know, regular standard round wins, I guess is the what I'm going for here. They've been winning in extreme circumstances or really strange circumstances, and in more default circumstances, they can't get the win.
Another full gun round, though, coming through with maybe the only exception being Anderson, who likely will be purchased. Yep, that's the case. Intox will buy him a weapon. But with the Operator back into play for Instinct, you need to try to get this online and force Renegades out of the middle of the map, because that has been too free so far for the attacking side. And it looks like Instinct does want to challenge over towards the B connector. Dark cover will clear it. Now he'll take this over towards Catwalk. Sees one. He's a second, misses the shot. And now you really can't secondary challenge that with your tailwind gone.
Deploying drone.
That's the issue as well. Neither of those 2 players are looking towards him. Both CP2 and Winsome were looking over towards mid-arches. So after the shot, that could have been a freebie. Should have been a freebie coming through from Instinct, but Slimy Instinct's not really turning on today for the Boogermen, as they're going to be missing out on that 5 and 4 situation. As the Renegades now shift towards the B side of things, that's away from the Operator. Smart moves from the Renegades. The L-drone needs to be dodged out, but after that, the Boogermen are out of info.
All you have to do is smoke long, smoke mid-market, and just full rush in. You should have the numbers, and you could avoid that Operator. There goes one dark cover long. There's another one placed defensively, though, right at the front door. Paranoia comes through, and this is actually with the spike. The tailwind that goes in for Retro will drop the spike so far away from the rest of this offense. Now the Slimy Boogerman in a great position. It's Welshie. He finds 2. He grabs number 3. Give him the 4th. Not going to happen, but Intox is there for the trade, and I just don't know. Retro going so aggressive with the spike means that you have to find a kill and still get through onto the spike site itself, and it gets punished.
And look, I've seen this before. I've seen Jet players take the spike because sometimes they are the ideal planter. They can get onto the site very quickly, put the cloud burst down, get a nice easy plant. The issue is, if you plan to go aggressive, not onto the site, and over towards the boathouse, and you die, that is the exact situation we're talking about here, where the spike is in the middle of nowhere, tries to get recovered by, I believe, CP2, drops it again, because, I mean, you're just wide in the open right now, being shot by all directions. So, I mean, Slimy Boogermen are able to pull through again via Welsh. 4 rounds now, 2 ecos, 2 Welsh rounds. And an opportunity for 5, but the Boogermen would really have to do quite a lot here. Lockdown is available. Maybe they can get a win off that.
Some wide peek. Instinct equal as he holds the operator at the angle. And that's a awful first blood to give away. Lockdown going to come through very early, and Renegades are just going to push through mid-market. This is all going right into Intox. Can he find a way to get a couple of kills here? There's the first. Renegades are stalled out. Flashpoints coming through will continue to add a little bit of injury to this. Paranoia will also come out. There is a decent trade, but now the Chalk Darts will find some value as Randy will fall. 3v2 at the end of all of the interaction here over towards B, but the Spike is not in a position to go down yet. Bergie, more kills in front, but him and Retro are doing very well. Bergie will use the Shrouded Step to get on the site, and now it will be a 1v2 for Instinct. He has the ability to drop the operator for a rifle. It just comes down to will he make that choice.
Spike planted.
2 smokes available coming through as well. Started Bergie on Renegades. It's the low HP that I think I'm a little bit more concerned about. Instinct has an HP advantage. 1 kill to get a Bladestorm as well if that wants to be the play. Triple Cloudburst and Dash means a lot of potential for outplay scenarios. That's the first kill. Potential 2. Bergie's around the corner though. Too close for Instinct to be able to spot out. So again, I guess the Instinct is a little bit off this time around, and 4 to 8. The 5 was so close, within reach for the Slimy Boogermen, but again, the 4 rounds they get just come through from situations that are a little bit abnormal. So for the Renegades, they're able to win otherwise, and most of them through just kills as well. So very strong start for the Renegades. Let's see if they can close out in the second half.
And it just, again, hit it one last time here for the Slimy Boogermen. They have not had great success on the offense on Ascent. 33% so far through the First Strike series and their open qualifying run. That would have to be improved upon. Let's see if they've made any corrections. It would be great if you can win the pistol and the following. That would put you in the realm of just down 2 rounds, and it'll give you a little bit of extra life. But if you lose this pistol and you go down 9-4, maybe even 10-4, you just don't feel great about those odds.
What I can tell you is they certainly can't afford to go 3 down early in the first 3 rounds again.
Yeah.
Maybe you drop the pistol, but now that you're attacking, I suppose you should be able to force in. You don't want Renegades to get an early 10. With the trapwire destroyed as well, CP2's thinking about maybe droning through. A drone is going to look him instead. And our Boogermen going to go through from short. Spike is still uncommitted, still 2 players lurking towards B as well.
Dart will be dealt with. Boogerman with a pretty good pressure over the middle of the map. You've got Retro who's holding down by logs. Well, she's going to try to trigger out and see if he can bait anybody with the ultimate orb. And that Paranoia free up looks great, but Retro can't grab a kill. So now the Slimy Boogerman threatening B. Bergie, what can you do? Absolutely nothing is the answer, as now it's a 5v3. Renegades have to wait for reinforcements and then try to find a way to retake. The only bit of silver lining here is that there are 2 members that are weakened up.
Unfortunately, those 2 members should have gone down if you are looking for the Renegades POV. Right now, the fact that Retro doesn't get a kill despite being undiscovered is quite sad indeed for the side of Renegades. They're going to try and isolate one. That's 1 low HP player in Anderson, but I mean, they don't see him, so they let it go for now.
Oh, man.
And Slimy Boogermen in a great position. Anderson finds the opportunity to swing through, and that is all the kills. Are flawless on the pistol. And we talk about the fact that Slimy Boogermen need to win pistol, need to get some rounds early. Well, there it is.
Really is heads-up play as well from Anderson, knowing that he's low HP. He really can't contest that normal rotation out of mid-market or to the defensive spawn through the boathouse. So he just gives it up completely. No need to peek, no need to read info. Trust that your teammates are going to be able to find some trades. Then as soon as you start hearing the interaction and the execute for the retake, that's when you push back up towards B main. Brilliant play. Big heads-up moment for Anderson as he's able to help clutch up that round. So now 5-8 the tally. Spectres and a Stinger are going to be forced up into this round for the anti-eco, and for Renegades, it's just a couple of pistol upgrades. Retro's likely going to get scouted here by the Owl drone. He actually doesn't get tagged by it, though, so he will at least stay somewhat concealed, as this is still looking like a heavy approach for the Slimy Boogermen towards B.
The Slimy Boogermen just need to make sure they don't lose any unnecessary rounds here, such as losing versus the pistols. And their own anti-eco. Retro sees a lot, though. Look at that. It's going to pull members over. Instantly, Renegades are going to make rotations happen. They are still, at least, a little bit cautious right now. Just making sure they have some mid-control, making sure it's not a B split. And I think the Slimy Boogermen know as well, because they got spotted in B main. They're going to fall off, use the last minute to try and get some control of the mid-map. Maybe even in short, especially with the kill doing some.
Yeah, that initial interaction was everything. If Winsome and CP2 could catch Welshie off guard. Maybe there's an opportunity. Paranoia push through. Good help from Anderson on the way through. And now Boogermen are going to have a pretty free take of the A site. Spike will make its way through the main archway. And for Renegades, they're trying to get here for a defensive retake, but it's going to have to be Randy from mid and the last 2 members over towards Heaven.
Super open plant as well. That is going to seal the deal. Renegades are going to really struggle now. No guns on the floor, even if they were in a low number situation to try and get to the defuse. I mean, you can't really defuse in the open here. They have to try and find a kill somewhere. And they got to go for this one as well. They're not going to save the pistols, surely, so they got to really try and work through on-site, clear the site, maybe smoke off A main, get the kill into Anderson first, confirm hell with Intox, and then work their way from there.
I think they're just playing for exits here, Avril. You've got Bergie, who's playing passive at the middle of the map. He's going to have a point of contact and win one versus Instinct. And now the exits that are coming through, Anderson will find one. Dev, next one up. He's able to find one and a second. Thanks for the lineup as the Boogermen will get off the site and capitalize on the kills, only dropping 1 member.
Fairly clean so far, and the 1 member being dropped is the Jet. However, Instinct doesn't quite have a Blade Storm, so I'm not farming up too quickly. 7-10, not the ideal scoreline. We're headed into the very pivotal round 3 of the half now, where Renegades do get to buy on up. Everyone down to 0 except for Bergie. The Slimy Boogermen as well. This is where they need to change pacing. This is where they need to change up their strat a little bit. Try and find an opportunity to grab a couple of guns, try and dismantle Renegades. If there's one thing the Slimy Boogermen have done successfully, it has been eco wins, but those have been on the defense, not on the attack so far.
Aggressive hit here for the Slimy Boogermen. Opportunity for Winsome to find the first, but Welshie on site has cleaned up one. Bergie flashed it from this spin. He does well to get some damage, and Winsome will convert 2 more behind it. Not in the classic. Knows that he's got a member nearby. It's Anderson, but he's able to find a pick and slip through. Spike has been retrieved, and Welshie, he should be allowed to plant this without much contest.
I think Anderson's going to be the X factor here. He's currently off-site, has market control, has a Phantom plate as well. If he can get a kill here, he will be able to make things much more doable for his teammate. Welshie has been responsible for so much of the kill pressure, the win pressure as well for the rounds. And I don't know what Renegades are up to, but CP2 even cancels his L drone. He decides to walk forward straight into Welshie, and that ends up being another eco win. Boogermen have gotten 3 in a row, and now the comeback really starts to happen.
It's going to force Renegades onto an eco. This should be a tie game after this round comes through. No potential for Retro to go into a Blade Storm, so this is just Sheriffs right now with a little bit of armor for a couple of members. Winsome at 14 and 10 can afford the heavy armor and still have enough to get into an AR next round. But this is a great potential here for Boogermen, not only because you're in a what should be a free win here, but you're going to be able to build up for more ultimates if you can cleanly take this next round, as there are a number of members that are 2 or 3 charges off of their ultimates.
You can see Renegades are already trying to set up something over towards B, 3-member plate. And there's going to be Bergie flashing on through for teammate Retro if they want to get aggressive. Early checking being done by Randy Savage as well over towards A main. The only control that Renegades don't have is mid, so they're hoping right now that nothing is happening over towards mid. Slimy Boogermen are also scouting that one out via the recon dart. Doesn't see anybody. And at this stage in the game, they are at least somewhat concerned that Renegades haven't pushed up. You do expect that when a defensive team ecos, they're going to try something aggressive. Randy, not going to connect the shot.
Just must have grazed the earlobe. Looked pretty darn close. Spycam will only see the Jet still, but there are obviously a lot of shots being thrown out, so Renegades will keep both members on the A site passive in their defensive standpoint, but they haven't fully committed to a rotation. There are 3 members that are still over towards B, and as Slimy Boogermen are making this rotation, Avril, there's potential that Retro could catch a couple by surprise.
Yeah, and the time is going to work against the Boogermen here. That's the issue, because as we get below 30 seconds, they're going to be rushing. When you're rushing, you're not taking corners properly. Retro's going to be in position right now. He's hiding. Has the opportunity to hit some shots. He misses so many. I don't know if that's going to be enough.
Only getting 1. Not great. Randy, though, for another. That could be a rifle. Picked up Bergie on the site. Can only take care of 1 time. Becomes an issue. It will result in a spike
planted.
But Randy now in a 1v2. 78 HP. 14 bullets, is looking to maybe play this one towards the back alley. Fault line will be spent. Spycam goes out. Good information. Couple of friendly pings. Flashpoint will be avoided. Now the aftershock. That'll delay things a touch longer. Time becoming a consideration for Randy. Still knows where the breach is, but has no idea where the killjoy is. He finds the first. 1v1. He's gonna go to the sheriff. Does he get an angle? Not gonna happen. Intox able to hold, and the Slimy Boogerman will tie things up 8 apiece.
And Intox just needs to waste as much time as possible there. You hear the spike ticking down there. And for Renegades, you gotta say, they kept it really close, the 1-to-1 right at the end. With only Sheriff, despite Retro missing plenty of shots, he does collect 1 kill. You have a few other members starting to come through on the Sheriffs as well, so the Sheriffs have been pretty big on both sides in terms of eco, but as expected, the Boogermen are going to be able to collect that one. So 4 in a row now. That is absolutely required for the Slimy Boogermen to make a proper comeback, but I think this is going to be the big round. This one will really determine who gets the real momentum walking on to the second half here, who gets to collect the 9, who gets towards that 10 as well. We're getting to the money rounds now. We're getting to the real business end of this map. And for the Slimy Boogermen, they have 12 minutes available. Renegade is sitting on Winsom's Empress. Everyone is going to have guns.
Small pause here for a moment as it looks like Bergie might be having maybe some issues. Hasn't left spawn, hasn't purchased anything. And as we kind of tally the ultimates at the moment, again, everybody is close. Really with the only exception being Instinct, who's only on 4 of 6. But this has been an incredible start for the Slimy Boogermen. Again, you know, through the open qualifier, only winning 33% of your offenses. For you to go 4-0 up in your second half, that's got to feel great for the confidence. Pause will be relinquished, and we'll be getting into this round here shortly, but the Empress available, Hunter's Fury, and Into the Shadows. And you feel like for the Slimy Boogerman, it just comes down to what is your decision? How do you want to use this Hunter's Fury? Is it going to be to try to initially take a site, or are you going to try to save this for holding off a retake?
I think it's going to be a little early action over towards A. Massive stack up from the Renegade side of things as well. Could be a possible early paranoia. That's what Bergie's setting up for. And Retro's in position to swing now, so Paranoia should be able to come on through, and Retro should go right past it.
Well, she stays up. Lear comes through. Retro finds the first kill. Can he grab a second? Not going to be interested as Anderson will push them back. And Bergie, mid-map finding Instinct is incredible for the effort, but Intox able to bounce back for 1. Here's another challenge to come through. Winsome with an aggressive dismiss. He baits Dev right into Bergie's line of sight, and no ultimates will be used this round. Anderson on 10 HP, no spike, has to come over towards the tree. He is able to collect it. He's got lots of time to play with, but the problem is his health.
Well done to Berger there as well. He flashes through for his teammates over towards A main. Instantly then falls back towards tree, looks towards the short angle because he knows the possibility for an A split is there. They have no mid-map control, so they need to be able to receive that pressure. Bergie gets a kill. Retro and Winsome between the two of them are able to swing through, get the kill initially onto Welshi. Now Slimy Boogerman down to just the 1 member. It feels like a save already. It feels at minimum like Anderson's just going to wait the timer
30
out.
seconds left.
Try and see if anyone pushes him. 10 HP, we're not expecting a lot. Hasn't reloaded yet either. 4 bullets in the chamber. And not a single is going to get fired here. Slimy Boogerman are going to drop this round over to the Renegades off a nice play over towards the A side of things.
So momentum halted for now for the Slimy Boogerman, but they do have the ability to still go into full ARs this next round. There will be maybe some light utility for Intox as he's zeroed out his eco. And Dev cannot afford to go into full armor, so
I don't know why Retro's buying. He's got Bladestorm.
That's a fair point, yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think this is the kind of round where I expect him not to. By the way, fun stat. Usually, it is Sova's getting a lot of assists. CP2's only got 2 assists. Dev has 17.
Yeah,
so
wait,
CP2's not really... well, CP2's not really connecting Aldrone and Recon Bolt, shots right now to get info for his teammates to get those kills. That's how you normally rack up those assists, so maybe CP2's lacking the utility department so far.
Anderson, where are you taking this? He's going to go right on this side. That's good information. As he'll just jump on in. Able to essentially help out as you saw the hit from Instinct trying to get there. Lockdown available. And you can see the position that is being used. Empress is going to be called. At what point does this lockdown come down, though? Winston is in a position where he actually could challenge. A lot of time off the clock. Shockdar going to find some value. Here's the Lear. You have to commit to this, though, if you're Renegades. It's going to be a Rolling Thunder to come through as well for the now post-plan of Slimy Boogerman. Retro with the Blade Storm. Again, questioning why he even purchased in the first place. And now, as he gets detained, there's not going to be an opportunity for them to even go for the retake. So that's a Blade Storm that's been spent for nothing. And Slimy Boogerman are going to walk away with a flawless round.
It goes from bad to worse, doesn't it? It's
sure
like
does.
Renegades out of the frying pan into the fire for this particular round. They just won the last one quite cleanly, and this is just a complete mess. I mean, You just clean things up and instantly we just turn the entire house upside down. And for the Renegades, probably at least happy to get out with some guns, but not what you want out of that round. Winsome dies very quickly, pops the Empress, tries to run through, and fragged by the player in hell. So unlucky there for Winsome, but for Renegades as well, they're not really working together in that situation. They're not really trying to, I don't know, retake with utility off the back of each other. It just seems like we're trying to make a few solo plays that don't quite work out. And Renegades spend quite a lot in that round for not a lot in return.
Yeah. Another round that you kind of have a deep sigh for Renegades. I mean, so much spent, not a lot found. So 9-9 we go. Retro was considering playing aggressive. You see the paranoia set up potentially with Bergie. Aldrin will be deleted. Retro will have to back up and wait for this recon bolt to go away, maybe baiting the fact that he's rotating to tree. But this play for paranoia has pretty much gone out the window. This is all down to every point of contact, and Retro fortunately finds two. He gets a third. Evens up the trades just barely. Renegades now with a 3v2.
And they confirm the information as well because, I mean, Retro dies there, but he sees two more players. This is going to allow Renegades to rotate members over. They play it safely, though CP2 is still hanging around B just in case there's a rotate. Spider-Man will get a nice 2v2 here, but it ends up being the spike on the floor again. Randy and Bergie to clean up the last couple. And it's back and forth action here where Renegades will win one nice and clean, lose one really messily, and then, I guess, start the cleanup action again to confirm round number 10 to keep 3 alive off the back of really great swing coming through from Retro, picking up a number of kills.
And that's like the story of Renegades over these last couple of weeks, right? I mean, we had that conversation when we saw them kind of in this period between the Ignition series and First Strike, but also during their own invitational. When we had a chance to watch them on stream, there were just some moments that they should be winning rounds more cleanly than they are, and there are even moments where they're kind of dropping rounds that they should win no matter if it's clean or not. And those problems still seem to be plaguing them just a touch, but still a small lead, 10-9 up. Hunter's Fury available with the Slimy Boogerman as well as the Bladestorm if they want it. And this time looks like for our attacking squad, they will be a little bit more passive as they try to look for some information before they commit to either spike site.
Still really close, though. I think the money situation's able to exemplify that somewhat. Retro's down to 700. Boogermen are down a lot more than that. A couple of rich players on the side of Renegades, though. CP2's on 6,000, so I mean, there's one player that can bankroll the rest if needed. With Slimy Boogermen, they want to make sure they can get their own 10 here, keep it nice and tight for our opening map, and it's been a bit of a grind so far. 19 rounds back and forth action. This half especially has been much better for the Slimy Boogermen, but it does feel like the momentum has slowly been shifting, slowly been fading away now that we've gone past the initial 4 in a row.
Bladestorm's going to come through. Anderson very well could be the first one forward, just playing a shoulder angle at the moment. It looks like
30
for
seconds
maybe
left.
a minute, CP2 threw some information gathering tools over to B main. They don't see anything, so defensively, Renegades are full rotated to A. The hit's coming through. There's nobody here, but Dev is hoping for some connection with the Hunter's Fury. He somehow connects with one player over the middle of the map, but this is going to be a free plant, and there just aren't a lot of tools here for Renegades to retake.
10 seconds left. Spike planted.
4v5 now. Plant's going to come through as well. There's going to be one traded over via CP2. Recon Dart finally might be able to confirm a little bit more info. No spam through the walls, and now this is where the real retake comes through. A lot of flashes being thrown in there. Counter flash is being used as well via Boogerman. What can they find here? It's a 1-for-1 trade again. Instinct can't find more. No right click to come on through to rescue that situation.
I'm not here.
2 versus 3. Well, she can't save it. CP2 has another couple. Low HP over the side of the Boogerman right now. The defuse tries to come on through, and Dev has an opportunity. He loses the 1v1, and Bergie will get the defuse.
Unreal. Absolutely unreal. Slimy Boogerman looked primed to be able to hold off, but CP2 is able to convert on a shock dart towards the default spike plant spot, which was not used, by the way. It was just the fact that Anderson wasn't moving. He just stayed on top of the boxes for safety, and little did he know, he put himself right in the middle of danger. Then behind that, the passive play through B main for the retake was just too passive. They couldn't get there to contest the retake at all for Renegades, and you thought for maybe a moment Dev was going to clutch things up, but not going to happen here. Now 11-9, and Renegades are starting to take advantage of the eco as well.
Dev just doesn't have enough HP. He's tagged out so low. He just can't quite contest. Speaking of contesting right now, CP2, how about this one? 3 connections, including a kill. That's exactly what we want to see out of a Hunter's Fury early on. Puts BOOGERMEN down to only 4 members. Still have a play over towards Tree currently, but he'll go down. Anderson's gone. That's a 3v5 straight out the game.
And there's no need to get too aggressive here. If you're Renegades, you're in a 5v3. You don't have to overpeak. Just play your numbers. So you lose 1. That'll be Winsome who drops first for Renegades. You've got Retro on site, tagged up a little bit. And there's still potential here for Slimy BOOGERMEN. The only real problem is the fact that Instinct is down to a single shot.
And there it is. A couple shots through the wall. Now the 2 versus 4 situation. BOOGERMEN have to think about saving. Yeah, their money situation is not great. And we talked about Renegades, the fact that, yeah, most players had been purchasing, but CP2 was bankrolling anyone else. That's going to be 1 pull through from Dev. Do you play the 2v3 now? Do you feel more confident about it? CP2 still just hanging around right now.
30 seconds left.
Recon bolts and a shock bolt there as well. And as we start running out of time, this is where the decision needs to be made.
Well, she could block off this rotation. Nothing's heaven. He hears the darts coming out, and if nobody peeks him, he's gonna find not just 1. There's potential for a second and a third. Why in the world would you line up like that?
Recalling my boss.
Well, she finds a free double. No way this is the gameplay we're seeing out of Renegades. That was a 5v3. You have to win these rounds.
Speaking of dubs, that's exactly what BOOGERMEN get there. 2 versus 3. They start in such an awkward situation. It was a 2 versus 4. I actually remember, I mean, it was Renegades who kind of gifted a couple of kills over. Instinct on 0 HP gets fragged through the wall, so BOOGERMEN were really in a tough spot. The Wellsheet finding his way, Slimy as a team is, getting his way into glass and posting up there for 3 kills, including the collapse. That is a thing of beauty right there for Slimy BOOGERMEN, as we are still nice and tight here, just 1 round separating the 2.
Get out of my way!
I cannot believe what I'm watching right now. Slimy BOOGERMEN are just coming up so clutch. But talk about their ability to punish the mistakes of Renegades so far, keeping them not just potentially in this game, but might actually lead to them stealing this map away. It's been an incredible offensive half. Lockdown very early placed here for the Slimy BOOGERMEN. Retro in the Blade Storm. He's going to have to go a distance to get away from this. Nanoswarm over the top. Here comes the tank. Eventually, there's a player down low. That's Winsome who falls. The spam shots, no problem. No one going to contest it. Anderson takes down the Blade Storm holding player of Retro. 4v3 situation, and a post-plant setup going to be afforded here for the Slimy BOOGERMEN.
CP2, nice shot coming through from the shock bolt. He's got the only gun, by the way. This is a hero rifle from CP2. He's the richest player on the team. Flash through is not great for the start. He's just constantly flashed. Bit of a preview of the next patch coming through. It's a 3rd kill now. It's a 2v2 situation. Nil depth as well. They have to click the last 2, but it comes through. Intox for 1, Welshie for the 2nd, and the Slimy BOOGERMEN will find 11.
Unreal. 11-11, but we've got another gun round coming up here, and both teams are in a position, depending on how this round goes, where they could be able to afford pending they lose, so it's not necessarily a full buy into an eco unless Renegades lose this one coming up, and then they probably will be on an eco as they try to go into the aggressive buy of the operator. One of the first times we've seen Renegades pull this, and so it's going to have to find value. You need to get kills here if you're Retro.
I was just going to say, I don't even remember when the last time we saw Retro on the operator for this half has been. It's been that rare. And no one's going to peek him early. He has mid-map control currently. No recon bolt to dissuade him. Either the Aldrone is going to come through to maybe push him off the line, but Winsome has tucked himself into line and gets a kill into Intox from that position as well. He's stuck there, though. That's going to be the spike, found on the floor.
I mean, you're feeling okay about the first kill, but you see the Nanostorm that's immediately placed. It's just an easy trade. So for Renegades, without any help to get him out of that position over towards Wine,
I mean, he can dismiss.
They have to be okay with a 4-4. Dismiss is the only option, right? But I mean, we didn't get a chance to see where that orb was placed. Maybe he didn't have an angle on it. Who knows? But Renegades are going to have to essentially split 2-2 for the rest of this defense, and Anderson is just holding this angle for the rotation to the B site. BOOGERMEN are just going to have numbers flat out here for this take.
And by the way, Winsome had the Empress. Off that 1 kill, he collected the Empress. If he dismisses away, that would have been perfect. That would have been 5v4. Empress available. Now as the hit does come on through, it's going to come down to CP2 and Bergen on the backside as well. Bergen needs to find that kill. That's a revealed player. Doesn't shoot just yet, being very patient about the situation. You need to get this kill. We'll find it. Gets a double up as well. Spike on the floor confirmed. 2 versus 2 now. As the rest of the defenders come on in.
Spike's going to be planted. Again, you've got the operator for Retro.
Spike
and there
planted.
really aren't any weapons that are nearby for him to exchange this into quickly. So can he find a way to open up with a pick? He's got 2 Cloud Bursts, a Tailwind, and an Updraft to potentially use.
Here.
With him is going to be just Randy. And he's going to come through first. There's a lot of trust on Randy here. Player sitting over towards double box to the right. It's Anderson in the corner. 70 HP. He can be taken down quickly, but it's just down to, will there be a quick scope here from Retro? Randy finds the first, and a quick scope was there for Retro! Unbelievable! Renegades put themselves up somehow on 12!
You gotta feel really, really bad if you're Anderson right now. That is...
Match point.
I can't believe that. I'm feeling it from my position right now in the observer seat. This is incredible.
Oh, this is a nice spot.
I'm speechless. Renegades actually win that one. That's something quite to behold. That starts with Bergie, by the way, in my opinion. He gets a double up over from backside. He needed to get 1 kill. He doubles that. He gets 2. If he doesn't get 2 kills, that's a much more difficult situation for the Renegades to hold on to.
Oh, this is a nice
Now they have
spot.
map point in their hands. 12 is there for the Boogermen. We've seen them do wonders on low equipment before. They're going to have to do that again to get to overtime. What can they buy with the limited equipment available? There is a pause on the field for now as we wait for Dev to confirm what his purchase is going to be. A bit of high ping there. You can see he's on 100. I don't know if that's a ping issue. But the Slimy Boogermen are on some level backs against the walls here. They're not going to have the best purchase. Welshie onto only a Stinger. Part of me feels like Welshie's been the most... consistent player for the team. You know, you want to put a good gun into his hands. There is going to be Rolling Thunder available. If there's one way for the Boogermen to win, I think it's going to have to be off the back of the Rolling Thunder.
Just comes down to use it for an execute, to use it for a retake, hold off. Retro with the scope again. He's got to be feeling pretty hot after what we just saw. It very well could have been a no scope too, by the way. I mean, it was either the fastest quick scope this side of the Mississippi or it was the no scope. So, man, this has been a battle in for multiple reasons, but we've got ourselves a good game on our hands. 12-11 the tally. Empress, you feel like is going to be popped. This comes down to, again, do you try to wait for the Rolling Thunder to pop it? Try to use it beforehand? It's kind of a chess game there between how those ultimates are going to be used in my mind.
Speaking of which, by the way, Instinct here doesn't need a gun. We'll have the Spectre anyway, because why not? It'll be the last round. You want to buy up as much as possible, but they want to try and get Instinct at least 1 kill or maybe an orb somewhere. The Bladestorm is going to be very important because they don't have full equipment, so the more guns and more firepower they have to play with, the better. Dev is going to be the one trusted with the Guardian here, so they will put a rifle into the hands of Welshie, which I think is correct. You want to have your best players, best performing players in Anderson and Welshie on the right equipment here. This is going to be a big round for either Renegades getting map number 1 or Boogermen pushing over toward OT.
Renegades are getting aggressive defensively through the middle of the map. They're not going to see anything initially, but they will back away, realizing that this is not necessarily a free angle for that operator for Retro mid-map. He will now passively sit backwards, and he might get an opportunity. He misses the shot. You hear it ring out over the span of ascent, but Welshie, I would say, fortunate to be alive, and he's going to take advantage of this. He's going to keep pushing forward and make sure that Renegades are always considering, but he gets tagged through the wall? Off your feet! 49 HP. Now you're going to get a Rolling Thunder. That's just over to Garden. Staying safe is going to be Randy. He's got to find a way to hold this for as long as possible. You know that you've got a member mid-map. You need to find an isolated kill, but no one's going to scout out Welshie. Finally, CP2 with the hit, and now here comes the Hunter's Fury and likely an Empress behind it.
And this is the winning moment potential for Renegades. They already got that one important kill. They know there's no one else flying now. Our plant has not come on through. Instinct is down. We're still waiting for the plant. And the Renegades are here. They're stopping it. Intox on very low HP right now. There will be one pulled through. 31 HP.
30
Plenty
seconds
of util
left.
being spammed onto tight. Less than 30 seconds remaining.
They're going to try to, again, toggle for it. Here's a paranoia play. Dev up top needs to find a kill. Not going to grab it. It's Ruby for 1. Trade coming through. But the numbers, are they too good? Intox, last member left alive. 1v2. He's already got Winston tagged up heavily. Has to stick for a plant or get both kills. He hops off
10
it
seconds
again.
left.
Renegades can play for the post plant. They don't need to contest the initial challenge. Now time is low, and Winsome with the timing
Defenders
will lock
win.
things up. Renegades take map 1, 13-11.
I don't take out
And BOOGERMEN made that one really interesting. It was a really disappointing first half from them, but that second half, super competitive. Multiple rounds won there. That first 4 rounds on the attacking half of the attacking half of the Slimy BOOGERMEN. Well played. I mean, props to them. Give that one over. But the fact of the matter is, when we get towards the end there, it ended up being too much of a deficit from the first half scoreline, 4-8. They need to bounce back. They got that bounce back via the 4 early on to make it 8-8. But when things get really tight towards the end, that last round does not go the way of Slimy BOOGERMEN. If Welshie finds the opportunity to get a cheeky kill into someone rotating through from B to A, that's a good opportunity. But because while she's down, there's no plant either, and the plant ends up being, I think, the nail in the coffin there, sadly, for the Slimy BOOGERMEN, because if they get the plant in, maybe they can go for a safe post plant somewhere. They end up using Rolling Thunder fairly early just to clear out gardens. Ideally, you can clear out gardens without the Rolling Thunder and use it for the post plant, but you don't even get to a post plant if you can't get the spike down.
Tough map to break down right there. A lot of things that went ways that not normally you would expect, but we've got ourselves a matchup. It's looking pretty solid so far. A very tight ascent. Coming up next will be Bind, but before we get there, we'll send things to just a brief break. We'll bring Yinsu back to try to help us break down what just happened on screen, and we'll get going for map number 2 in this opening matchup here for Group D between Renegades and Slimy BOOGERMEN right after this.